Here we go. Hello, everybody. This is Servet Hassan. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc. Our guest today is Meghan Don, and
Yes.
here she is on the phone. Meghan, is that you? Are you
there? Yes, it is.
There you go. We're live on the air in Southern California on Intuitive Inc. It's Sunday night at 6 o'clock here. I know it's late for you because you're calling from, where are you calling from, Meghan?
Actually, from Cape Breton in Nova Scotia.
Wow. So are you on the coast, way on the tip of the coast of Canada, off that east coast?
I am, and I'm virtually about as far north and as far east as you can get.
Okay, because I have a brother that lives in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's quite a bit south from here, but I know where it is.
Yeah, so you're way up on the tip of the continent.
Uh-huh. I am.
Anyway, so it's late for you, and we've got a great connection, I think. And so anyway, Meghan Don is on the phone, and she's calling from Canada. She is an initiative of the Sophian lineage, which we're going to talk about because I find that fascinating, and the founder and leading guide of the Gnostic Grace Circle. She's an award-winning author, a spiritual mentor, a retreat presenter, and basically what all of her work revolves around is helping to raise the feminine consciousness and confidence in our world. And you go, girl. So I love that. And her latest book, she's written books like Meditations with Teresa of Avila, A Journey into the Sacred, which won the Ashton Wiley New Zealand Book Council Award for Best Book and Author in 2006. And she's also written Sacred Companion, Sacred Community, Reflections with Clare of Assisi. So she's touched on some major female powerhouses here. And now her latest book is called The New Divine Feminine, Spiritual Evolution for a Woman's Soul. So we're going to talk all about that and then some. So you've really touched on some major women archetypes and powerhouses, as I call them. But they're mystics, basically. And so what from that brought you to inspire you into doing this next piece of work?
Okay, well, my work on the mystics took me, very deeply into my being, but I was also aware of something, that there was something else to come. There was something else happening. And actually, after visiting a very intuitive healer and friend, she said to me, are you working with Mary Magdalene at all? And I said, actually, no. And she said to me, well, she's all around you. I would strongly suggest you look at this. And from that suggestion, I opened the doorway and found this Sophian lineage, which I studied for some years with them. It just took me into a much, much deeper place. It's a lineage that has brought through oral tradition, oral teachings, and there was just a greater sense of empowerment, embodiment. It was really the spirit coming into the body in a very real way. And so this book is a lot about the embodiment of the light body and the earthly body both. So I guess I felt like I've been drawn, step by step, deeper and deeper into these feminine mysteries.
Well, it seems like one thing led to another. And you said in your book, in this book, The New Divine Feminine, you said that Mary Magdalene was she was a way shower into the true nature of being, I think you called it. Almost the soul of the world was being shown to you. Is that how you felt? It's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, that experience really, it was quite remarkable.
Well, backtrack just a little bit, because how did this all start? First of all, you were born in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, because I know this has led up to you being around a fire and and Mary Magdalene was there, and I think, am I right? Because I read all of this in the book.
Yeah, right.
But something must have led to that. So let's go back a little bit further. What's what's the story behind how you got to that point?
Okay. I guess it's I know, it's like, all right, how far back do I go here?
You're right, but I start wherever you feel. What do you think was the entry point for you? Because for most of us, we have it doesn't have to be an epiphany or anything, but there's just that moment where you know that you're going to follow this path.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it was that moment of seeing Magdalene really revealing herself as this cosmic world soul. It was really an invitation to see every human feminine soul, and by saying this, I'm also including men in this, because, of course, as we know, the feminine nature is in the male as well.
Absolutely.
So this particular path, I would say, was predicated by that experience. If I go further, even as a young child, of other dimensions, I was aware of, I would sing to the tree spirits, when I was 4 years old or something like that. So I guess if we're looking way back, my connection to the earth spirits and then other dimensions was just very, very natural when I was young. And so therefore, even as a teenager, I knew that I was going to dedicate my life to the spirit, to the sacred, even as a teenager. I knew that would happen. So I just had to do a few teenage things to get out of my system first,
Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we won't go there.
No. I think really to say, I think just, the pathway has always just taking different forms and shapes, and me getting off path and off track and, certain obscurations and then coming back. And then these major experiences which really cemented and just, jettisoned me even further and quicker.
Wow. Did you start with Christianity or anything like that as a child? Were you raised as any religion?
Yeah, as a Christian, and I have to say that one of my favorite books was like a comic style book of the Bible. So it had all the pictures and the little blurbs of everything, and I loved that. But as a teenager, it had got to it was pretty darn dry. Then took off and did an Eastern route, and actually, spent time in India living in an ashram, thinking that would be, my destiny, and also, connecting with Sufi teachings as well, and very much loving that. But there came a point when I realized, oh, this is not my culture. This is not really who I am. This is not going where I thought it would. Even though I'm loving it, there's something not quite right here for me. And so I posed the question, where does this wisdom, the wisdom I was experiencing in the Hinduism and in the Sufism, where does it reside in Christianity? It must be there, it must be there. And that's when I was really led and guided to the mystic. And so therefore then it was that the original wisdom of Christianity, which of course included the feminine. And so that, for me, I think is still a big part of my work today, is like saying, hey, everybody, there is enormous wisdom in the Christian tradition. It has just been overlaid, buried, denied, but it is there.
I agree. So that's kind of then that segued, like I said, there are no accidents. So that kind of led you to Teresa of Avila and Clare of Assisi and all of that. So, and because I did notice too that in your book you have chants. You have a chant and a meditation with each kind of, I don't want to say with each chapter, but with each section of teachings, sort of, you supply a chant. So you're kind of combining the two as well, correct?
Yes, yeah, I am, and even I have Celtic heritage. So there's parts of it that I really draw on that Celtic heritage and the deep connection with the earth and the animal spirits, So I'm really, I guess, drawn in, and these chants come from Hebrew and Aramaic chants. So because a lot of my studies is based in the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life.
Right.
So I incorporate that as well. Yeah. So I'm really feeling where it is.
No, go ahead. They're not Sufi.
I was going to say, I think we're really.
Let's go. Yeah, you go. You go ahead, because if they're based on the Kabbalah, and then they're very different chants than I'm used to. The Sufi Sanskrit is what I'm trying to think of. So they're not Sanskrit chants.
Okay.
Right.
No. These chants, each letter is understood, that the Hebrew letters are understood to be divine qualities, the divine intelligence, the energy of the very nature of divinity. And so when we join these letters together and create the chant, they're very powerful in bringing through, the actual divine quality. And there are some similarities with the Sanskrit. For instance, Kali. Kali is known also in the Hebrew. So there are some places where you can find some similarities of the meanings of the letters and the chant, but they're also on their own as well, and bring a great deal of.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry. I thought I lost you there for a second.
No, there I am.
No, that's really fascinating. But so you don't really need to know the tune or the sound of. It's just about the sound of the words of the letters put together, like you said, that are so powerful, right?
What I am going to do very soon is actually have on my website all of the chants that people can access. So I will say the chant first, so that if somebody doesn't want to sing it, they can use it like a mantra, and they can just repeat it over and over and over by saying it. And then I've recorded the next part as singing it, so that there is a tune. Oftentimes you can find your own tune with it, but I'm hoping in a few weeks to have these up on the website so people can actually hear them.
Good. That's exactly what I was going to suggest, because I know when I do Sanskrit chanting, it's a call and return. Somebody's chanting and then you repeat. Everybody repeats it, so you get the tune with it. But if you're doing it by yourself, it's a little more difficult. So that's a great idea. I'm glad you're going to do that. And so you've used a lot, like you even said you brought in animal energy. And, one of the things I loved about the book too is you start out by retelling the Adam and Eve story, and I thought it was kind of cute because you said, "What about that snake? That snake got a really bad rap." It was like, you didn't put it that way. I'm putting it that way. I'm paraphrasing, but I thought, this is true. This is really interesting. I found that fascinating because I think you referred to the snake as being Kundalini energy, and here he was getting such a bad rap, as I said. So, can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Well, that creation is, it's the snake who comes up to Eve, and says, "Hey, if you eat this apple, you're going to get a lot of wisdom, and you're not going to die, but you're going to get a lot of wisdom." And, Eve kind of looks at it and says, "I think you're right. I can feel the wisdom. I can feel what's going on here. And this is a beautiful apple." And and she takes the bite. And of course, the typical way it's been taught is that, Eve disobeyed.
Right.
And it was that snake that tempted her, and instead I've given a whole new teaching and rendition of like, oh no, this is exactly it. Snake represents the life of humanity. It represents the Kundalini energy. It represents our will. So that this energy that is being born, we can use it for selfish reasons, or we can use it for the good of all. And Eve was really in this way, as I retell the story, what she was doing was she was opening the way for consciousness to be known by humanity. So instead of an unconscious union with God, she opened the doorway so that we now could have a conscious union within our own skins, our own unique being. And so it also has been said that, this snake can be Lilith, who is known as the dark feminine. There's Eve as the light face of the feminine.
Right.
Both of them were opening the way for humanity to come into their greater wisdom.
Right. And Lilith was just as important as Eve.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, there's two creation stories, and one of them is, that the male and female were created, basically at the same time and in pure equality. And this first female was actually Lilith. And Lilith was known as the divine emanation of the feminine nature, who was destined to live in perfect harmony with Adam, the masculine nature. But it kind of went a little awry. As we know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't think, you talk about the dark faces of the feminine, and it goes a little bit beyond just the shadow self. It's different than that. So, can you explain that?
Sure. Yeah. That's what we really do shortchange it. The dark feminine is really representing for us a great source of power, a great source of the deep vastness, the deep and dark vastness of the creative energy. So it is, if you like, the great cosmic womb. And so the great womb is dark. And so what we're saying here is this dark face of the feminine is, if you like, the birthing place for all life forms, for all creation. And it is the place to which will return in their death process. So in fact, also it's really a place teeming with life, teeming with potentiality and possibility, and a great source for the feminine power itself to rise from this dark place. So, that's what I notice. Whenever we say dark, everyone's like, oh, oh,
exactly. But,
those places we don't want anyone to know about.
Yeah, but and it's mostly referred to as the shadow self, and it's gotten kind of, and it's not true. I love how you explain it, because we do need it. It's important, and it's not something we need to fear, or it's dark, like you said. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. You also talk about.
You brought that up because it is. The dark is feared. And it has been feared for a long time, and so I think it's very, very important that we really come into a deep comfortability with being in the darkness, with being in that place of what you could call no-thingness, so it's just dark. There's not a lot happening, but most of us will get, antsy there. We're like, oh no, we've got to have something happening. We just can't sit in that deep spaciousness, because that's the other part of the darkness, is it is incredibly spacious.
Well, and silent too. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And
yes.
Yeah, people fear silence. A lot of people can't do that. They can't be, and silence isn't about I mean, you're still going to hear things, because I've been in places where, you're in the middle of nowhere, but the cicadas are so loud, it's overwhelming. But there's still silence inside of you. Right. Mm-hmm. It's hard for people to do.
It is. It's very hard. And, and of course, our little minds just love to fill up the spaciousness and the silence, But when we can, I think too, we need to be able to sit long enough so that the silence can actually break through and the little mind can actually come to a place of rest.
Right.
And then eventually, when one becomes more familiar with that spacious silence, then even if the little mind is going on, it really still doesn't disturb that great spaciousness.
Right. Because it's just transcends it, I think.
Yeah.
You have to get to that. All of the shifts I've ever had have happened in that space, in that dark, silent space.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually in the where I'm talking about the crone, the grandmother, that's what I most bring forward, is that really, if we really want to open into deeper experiences, into the deeper wisdom that's available, then we really do have to find that spacious silence within. Otherwise, we kind of come and go from our meditations, and we might feel a bit more calm, or we might feel a bit more peaceful. But if we can keep going even deeper, there is so much more wisdom available for us. But we're a quick fix society, so my 20 minutes meditation, all right, okay, I'm off.
Right. It's a very microwave world, everything's very quick. Now, you spoke about the crone, and which is almost me, but not quite. But so let's talk about the 7 faces of the feminine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and the 7 faces are the light and dark aspect of the daughter, the mother, and the crone. So we have, the light and dark of each, so that's 6 faces right there. And then the 7th face is what I call the pure radiant awareness, or the pure virginal being, or one could say the enlightened nature, the true nature of the feminine. So what we're really looking at, these aren't necessarily to do at all with chronological age. They're like archetypal states of being. The daughter of light is the one who brings great exuberance, great vitality. She dreams, she envisions, she has a lightness of being, it's a real vitality she brings. And something, if we're getting really heavy and lethargic and, life's just a bit of a chore and so on, we really need the daughter of light energy, because she is just like, she's tripping through life and she's loving it and she's alive. So I think we can all do with some daughter of light energy. The daughter of dark is really where we, come to Lilith, actually in this aspect. And the darkness she is going to things within us that we have discarded, we've denied, we've, relegated to the wilderness. So she is the one who will say, okay, you really need to come and claim back these aspects of yourself that you have denied. She's also the wild one, the sexual one, the sensual one, the one who will speak out, the one who is firmly planted upon this earth. So she brings a lot of power to us in that way. The mother of light, is just so beautiful. And in the book, I bring through many, many faces. One face in particular is coming from the book of Revelation. And this is the woman of light who is humanity. So is understood as an ongoing process. So this woman of light is constantly birthing humanity. And now, in the actual book of Revelation, it talks about birthing a son. And then this, beast or demon waiting to, shall we say, gobble up the light, gobble up this son who is bringing the light. In the Gnostic tradition, in the Sophian tradition, they speak about this birthing right now in this age is really the birthing of the feminine. And this beast or demon that's waiting to, shall we say, eat up this child, we can understand it in many ways as our own will, when we get very willful, when we get distracted, when we get selfish and just all about self. This, in some ways, is that beast or will eat up the light. So the feminine light that's being birthed, and also any kind of energy that is against the feminine at this stage, fearing the feminine or trying to deny. So this mother of light is a great symbol of hope, a great symbol of faith in dark times. She's a symbol of this unending river of light and love that is pouring in and through to humanity, to the earth, if we are open to receive. The mother of dark, in this instance, I bring forward Neama, who really represents, on many levels, the incredible intelligence and feminine. She will also bring forward our pride, our arrogance, our lack of confidence and self-worth. So she, these aspects work together, and she will help purify and bring us into that strength, bring us into, the truth of our being in that way. We go into the crone, and the crone is something completely other. She is, she's in some ways quite apart from the world, because she does not operate by the worldly expectations or the worldly rules whatsoever. She really is completely for your liberation only. So she's master in some ways, because anything that is going to obscure your liberation and your enlightened being, she will come and she will reveal it, and she will pull you up. I've had some pretty incredible experiences with crone. Some of them are like, oh my goodness, if I resisted, they could become quite painful. If I was able to go with her and go with the liberation, they were so freeing. So we have, on one hand, too, she brings forward a great deal of light for us, and she also will really bring forward the deep darkness of humanity. And I'm speaking of darkness in this way of really lost ourselves in fear, hatred, war, and so on. So she comes and kind of will burst those wide open. And she does not hold back. She's sort of like, okay, we really need to clean this up, and she does. And then we come to the seventh face, which is that pure radiant awareness, the pure virginal being. So this is the part of our being that has never been tainted, never been touched, never been wounded. It is that pure, clear light vision, the pure enlightened nature. So really, the only way we come to that is by coming into all these different faces and joining them. Ultimately, that's what it's about, and in nature is about the unification of the light and dark.
I see. Okay. So, well, it makes sense, because you speak of the nature, too, of desire and feelings, of the feminine nature of that. So is this what's propelling our evolution onward, or is it an obstacle? I mean, we have to be able to join all of these faces, as you said. So
yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
And feeling is a big one, because I think part of the reason our world is in the trouble it is because we have got away from our deep feeling nature. If we deeply felt our love for another, if we deeply felt our connection with the earth, our connection with our neighbor, we wouldn't be doing the things we're doing. Right. We wouldn't be poisoning our water. Exactly. We wouldn't be abusing children and women. So in getting away from our feeling nature, we can do anything, and it doesn't touch us. Right. So by feeling, we are being deeply touched by our humanity and by our divinity. And the desire, I know this is a tricky one at times for those on the Buddhist path, but by desire, I mean our true sacred desire. So, for instance, having the true sacred desire to really come into our true nature, having the true sacred desire to know our connection, to wake up, to help others. So in this, because, we can go along in life and just be very ho-hum, and if we don't have the energy propelling us, how do we move forward? How do we evolve? Right. So I do see it, and this too is very connected with that Kundalini energy, the Kundalini desire energy. And it's what are we desiring to? Are we desiring to work just for our own benefit or for the benefit of all beings? So I think it's essential for us for our world evolution. And of course, yes, if we get lost, I think I'd like to make a distinction between the feeling and the emotion, because of course for many, if we drown in our emotions, then that's not the right way either. We must honor them, but not be flooded by them.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, yeah. Okay. And the other thing that you talk about a lot is all of your work, not just this book, is about raising the feminine consciousness, but also confidence. And that I'm going to open the lines if anybody wants to call in, 949-313-8880. And that might be a really good place to start with a call, is how to, so many people have a feeling of lack of confidence and unworthiness, especially women. Mm-hmm.
I know, it's women. Rampant.
It is. What do you feel the answer is for that?
Well, I do look at this creation myth as being quite an instigator in that.
Yeah.
And I think unconsciously many of us are doing it, even if when, of course, here was Eve, she was the one who, bit the apple.
Right.
She was the one, because you see what happens, how we hear it then, is that then we are sent off like a punishment, right? Off to earth where we have to struggle, where we have to have pain. And so, Eve was the one who caused that.
It's all her fault.
Right?
Yeah.
It was her desire. It was her doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I think somewhere within our being, that is a very beginning of, well, you better not listen. You better not go within and listen. So we lose our trust in our inner voice. And of course, as the ages have gone on, we have the whole, witch thing, and anybody with any kind of intuition is a witch, and even Teresa of Avila,
right.
within, her work was sent to the Inquisition.
Yes.
So I think it's being compounded generation after generation, beginning with our myth, and then, anybody who had any sense of a deep inner knowing was a threat. So of course we then better cut that, better shut it down so we're safe, and we better go into hiding, and and therefore we lose our confidence in that inner voice. And that's what I keep seeing over and over again with women in retreats and mentoring, is this lack of trust in their own inner knowing.
Right.
And I think really the only thing we can do is just to have a commitment and the desire to gain a trust in that inner, just experience and just bring it out and keep doing it and keep trusting, keep following. I mean, we all know that when we've had that inner knowing and we don't follow it, later we go, oh, darn, I knew it. I knew.
Exactly. I hear that over and over and over again. Or, people will say, I had a funny feeling, and then it's, oh, well, that might not be true. Maybe he's not such a bad guy after all. Maybe it won't be such a bad job, and then they get in there and they already knew, they knew before they went, they knew.
Yeah. So really it is because, that I think it's the only way of just don't listen to the second voice that comes in.
Right.
Go with
monkey
that
mind. The monkey
knowing.
mind. You're right. The monkey mind will dispute everything. It's true. Well, confidence is key for women. I know that. Now, but also, is there any way this book can benefit men as well?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I have been delighted because I sent it out to a few men for endorsements. And because it is so feminine, I was just wondering, how they would find it. And I have to say that the men coming back with endorsements, their endorsements were probably better than the women's.
Good. Yay. Good for them.
And I was like, wow, that is fabulous.
Good for them. Oh, yeah.
Level, they just totally got it. They just totally got it and just said, this is so important. We need to know this. And so I think there's a lot in this for men. So I would say you don't be put off by the title, that, for a woman's soul, because these are just full of wonderful accolades, and just they get it on a very deep soul level.
Right. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, because we need more men out there that get it, that really get it. Oh, that's awesome. Really. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, we're winding down. So I kind of want to know too, before I let you go, there's so many great examples of the chants, like I said, the meditations, there's prayers in this book. There's all kinds of helpful things. I want everyone listening to go get this book, The New Divine Feminine, because I really think it can help women. I really do. And men then too now. But how do you see it? How do you use these tools when you're encountering difficulties or obstacles in your own life? Is it meant as like a workbook too? Is it meant to work through things as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Whenever I write, I write with the aim of it being completely experiential. Because I feel like we've got a lot of information in our world, and it's very easy to read a book and put it down and go, okay, next,
Right.
So this is like, oh no, you enter this. In fact, it's written in such a way that it's like an initiation. So you enter it, and you're really going in and not only reading, but then you're doing the prayer, you're entering into the chant, you're entering into the meditation, and then you're journaling, your insights and your experiences. So my desire for this is that it becomes a very experiential, that really is transformative for the soul, and not just something you read.
Well,
So the different meditations and chants, for instance, there's different ones that if really painful feelings come up, for instance, what do we do with them if we can't quite, what do we do with them? And so there's a chant and a meditation to the Dark Mother to take these two. And in my experience, this Dark Mother takes the painful feeling and she transforms it in her sacred heart, and she gives you back the gift of peace. So this I've beautifully experienced many times. There's times when we need comfort. We might have been through something really difficult, and we just comfort. And so there's a beautiful angel, actually, of the mother, Mumia, who we can come to and enter into the chant. And it's really, Mumia is known as the womb of God, the womb of the mother. And so it's like really being enfolded by this womb, and it's just so comforting,
Right.
So there's all different ones for really stubborn patterns that come up again and again. There's a practice for that. There's practice for protection if you need protection or inner strength. And especially in these times, we're needing more and more faith, because we're going through difficult times in the world. And we can also use and extend these practices out for other people. So anyone we know who's going through a difficult time, who needs comfort or who needs strength, we can take up the practice and the chant.
Right. That's why I wanted you to elaborate on all of that, because it's very, also it is like an initiation when you delve into the book. It's like really an experience. And you also write, I like you write as if you're having a conversation. I like that. It's very easy to, you're talking with us almost,
Right.
And
right.
I like that. And I like that these can really help, with any kind of difficulties or obstacles we're facing, whatever they may be, you can find something in this book that can help you work through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is a book of transformation, I mean, that's what it's designed for. So, to deeply transform the soul and to bring your soul into a great place of inner strength,
right,
confidence.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
And throughout the book too, I mean, I've given many, of my own personal experiences. So, to really both very spiritual experiences and very sort of mundane experiences, so that, people can touch base with it, or they can stretch into it. It's like, oh, well, I'll stretch myself a little and really take that up, because there's certain fears that I had to confront. And so I'm, bringing them into the book of like, okay, I needed to confront this fear. And so there I was. And I give the, experience of that.
Yeah. It's very honest too. That's lovely. I think, okay, now how do the people find you that are listening? You have you're the founder and leading guide of the Gnostic Grace Circle, correct?
Yeah, the Gnostic Grace Circle. And the website is gnosticgrace.com. So Gnostic, that's GNOSTIC, grace.com. So that you'll find, information there. There's also different meditations there, upcoming retreats and workshops and so on.
Awesome.
And also you can sign up for a newsletter and all those things.
Do you travel a lot?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. Good. Well, where is your center? Is your center there where you are in Canada, in the tip of the world?
No, actually, we're more virtual.
Okay.
You see, because the members of the Gnostic Grace Circle from all over the U.S.
Oh.
So we're not a physical center, though that may be coming in the future, I believe. But at this point, we're more like a virtual circle. So people from Oregon, California, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Maine, New Hampshire. And so what we do is we gather once a month for a teleclass. We all come together. And then we are emailing through throughout the month, and then we have private mentoring, and then we gather together for retreats. So I've just done one retreat up here in Cape Breton, and then I'll be doing another. And there are different retreats through the year that the members will come and we'll join together physically, which are always extremely powerful and just wonderful to, be physically together.
I can imagine. And again, the name of the new book is The New Divine Feminine, Spiritual Evolution for a Woman's Soul. It's published by Llewellyn Worldwide Publishers, and it's, I'm sure, everywhere on their website and Amazon and on your website as well, I'm sure, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's a wonderful book, and you're doing great work, Meghan. Please continue.
Thank you so much. Yes,
I loved having you. Thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say, like one last thing that you want people to know that maybe I didn't touch on?
No, I think, there's a beautiful meditation right in the beginning of the book that I just call the mother ground of being. And I just highly recommend for people to come and sit in that vastness and to become comfortable there and comfortable with the spaciousness, knowing that it is the great womb of the mother, and knowing that you are safely held. Yeah.
Right.
Just have that confidence and believe in yourself. And if you hear in your little head, oh, I'm not worthy, or oh, I can't, immediately say, that's not true. I can do this.
Right. I say delete. Delete that. Delete it. Yeah, I get it.
Don't believe those things.
No.
So, and know you have that strength within.
Right. And you said something really important. Right. You said to trust the first voice. And disregard all the rest, because that first inner voice, that intuition, that direct connection with our higher spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, is always right. And we just discount it so much. And we really have to learn to trust that very first one and not go beyond. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So that really calls for, a deep respect for you.
Right. Right.
A deep respect. Yeah. So
exactly.
I think that's important too.
I do. You're wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. And I hope
thank you for having me. It's been a delight.
You're welcome. And I have a feeling our paths will cross again, I'm sure. I don't know why. But thank you. Have a nice evening, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What a lovely lady. She's got a lot to say. She's got a lot of wisdom in her, too. She's written a wonderful book. And again, I'm going to repeat her. Her name is Meghan, and it's spelled a little differently. It's Meghan. Her last name is Don, D-O-N. And the name of the book was The Divine Feminine, Spiritual Evolution for a Woman's Soul. And her website is GnosticGrace.com. It's GNOSTICGRACE.com. That's where you can find out all about her. You can find out all about me if you don't know everything you need to know on my website, SERVETHASAN.com, ServetHassan.com. All of my books are on there, Tune 'em in, Turn 'em on, The Intuitive Heart of Romance, and my last book that won the International Book Award last year is Life in Transition. And all the other things I do, there's a direct link to my YouTube channel there if you've missed a show and you want to catch up. There's also a direct link to my blog, Memos from My Higher Self, which I post daily. It's sort of like a kind of short diary on me exploring my own consciousness so that it can help you explore your own, even if it's just a little blurb that kind of makes you think about something. I'm also available for private sessions and consulting and all kinds of other I do a lot of talks and retreats and things myself. They're all on there. I am in San Francisco soon, in Mountain View and San Francisco next week for workshops. So if anybody's in that area, go on my website. You can get all the information you need. I have a really great guest next week. I will be in San Francisco, as I said, but I pre-recorded a show, so I already know it's great, with Michael Shermer, who is absolutely incredible. He's going to go the complete opposite direction of what I've been talking about lately. He is a self-professed skeptic. Michael Shermer is the publisher of Skeptic Magazine, the publisher and editor-in-chief founder. And he's written a whole lot of books. One of them is called Why People Believe Weird Things, The Moral Arc, Why Darwin Matters, The Mind of the Market, that kind of thing, How We Believe. And his latest book is called Arguing Science, a dialogue on the future of science and spirit. This guy's been everywhere. He's in the Wall Street Journal. He's been in the LA Times. He's been on the Colbert Report, 2020, Dateline, Charlie Rose, and we have him next week on this show. So I'm amazed. I mean, he did a couple of TED Talks too that were, I think over 7 million people viewed each one. So it was a great interview, and I'm really happy that I could get him on the show. It's a complete opposite but he has his point of view, and I want to remain open to all points of view here. And he has something to say, and he's extremely intelligent. We had a great, lively conversation. So please join me next Sunday, which I believe is September 11th. It is. It's 9/11, and we'll say a prayer for all those people that were lost on 9/11. But please join me if you can, and be you to the full, because that's what's really beautiful. This woman today was talking about, Meghan Don was talking all about raising women's not only consciousness, the feminine consciousness in the world, but also their confidence. And that's what my message has always been about, trusting your true self, finding your true self, and then having confidence in that self to move forward in the world and do what you need to do, no matter how big or small that may be. Everybody has a purpose. And when you find your true self, you find that purpose as well. You find everything, and you find joy, and you find that things come about automatically without anybody needing to do anything. No affirmations needed, no nothing. It just, life moves more beautifully when you're more in touch with who you really truly are at the core of your being, your true self. And that's you being you to the full. It's what's really beautiful. Join me next week, and thank you for being here tonight. I always appreciate it. If you have anything to say to me, please email me at servette@servettehassan.com. That's my email. And I appreciate you all being here. Thank you. Good night.